Well, it seems like a good a time than ever. The last 20 seconds of it was going to be. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to put the Shore sticker across my penis. Welcome to the 100 Watts in a Wire podcast. Yeah, and the fellas were like, yeah, this must be cold there, huh? It must be cold. Did you just get out of the tub, or what happened there? In case you haven't guessed it, we got a lot of problems, and I imagine you do too. Yeah. But this is one way of slicing amateur radio, and we do this every Sunday. And you're welcome to join us 7 o'clock Eastern time as we record the podcast live and get up to a lot of what they call shenanigans. Is that what they call it, Steve?
Yep, that's what they call it.
Steve's here, W7UDI, and Scotty's here as well, KC3BXN. And in the pre-show warm-up, we found out, unfortunately, well, it was actually before the pre-show. We were talking a little bit about football, and of course the Ravens lost their second game, and I'm talking to Steve about, it's almost too early for football because it feels hot still, it's kind of baseball season. Baseball still kind of
baseball season.
Yeah. And then we got to talking a little bit about it, and Scotty let us know a piece of information that really was a little disappointing, I got to say. I didn't understand. But tell the people, Scotty, what's happening here?
Well, we were talking about the Ravens, and Christian and I being from the Baltimore area. I disappointed him in letting him know that I grew up in a Redskins or Commanders household. It's vomiting in his mouth now.
A little my sleeve. Shouldn't have ate that. It's
he
hard.
got it
it's
on
hard,
the camera
Scotty.
earlier, but that was...
We got to wipe it off. It doesn't clean off well. It takes some time.
No.
That's why we got into the countdown a little late. But we appreciate you guys stopping by. You're welcome to join us. If you have a question about anything, life, audio, radio, this is a podcast that focuses on the intersection of life and amateur radio. And you can join us live as we record on our YouTube channel.
Chanel number 5.
And your questions in the chat will take precedent over the ones we get through the email or through other social media outlets. But we're here to help you if you have a problem, you're struggling with something, you're thinking about something, and it may just be my turn to focus with the guys on some things that I'm going through. And this isn't necessarily a life thing. It's a new QTH. That's Q Speak for our home base station. And we all have challenges where we live. And I'm in one now, and I do have a yard. I wish I could turn off to my left and show it to you a little bit. But a new circumstance from the homestead back in Missouri where I could put, up a 160. I had two 80-meter antennas. I had two 40s. I had two 20s, and I was spoiled. I had a X-beam for a while. And now I'm like just been born and have to figure this all out again. So it is exciting in the way that it's new, but being new comes with a bucket of challenges and lots of questions. So I have probably as many as folks in our community do. But let's catch up now with everyone, and I'll definitely wipe the commanders off my outfit here. Good grief! We'll bring you back around.
That's well you should.
That's okay. He also said, to be fair, that he hasn't really followed football in a while, probably 10 years or so, and he's okay with that. But we'll get him to get a Ravens hat or something. He certainly is wearing a Yesu cap, and I think that's pretty cool. Did you pick that up at the Hamfest?
I got that at Hamvention. Actually, they were giving out Yesu hats at the HRO.
No, the Yesu booth.
At the booth at the Yesu. I think that was it. Was it inside DX Engineering's whole complex? I can't remember, but
It was in the Yesu booth. They remember the line that everybody was, and you had your ticket punched, and so.
So I got a ticket and got my ticket punched, and then Steve was like, I got a bunch of Yesu hats already. Here, let's get you another one. So he got his ticket punched, and I got the tan and black to go with my red and blue.
Oh, cool. Good.
Yeah.
Good for you. So you didn't have to do anything for the hat, really. Because you guys get your ticket punched. Is that code? That's a code.
Dynamite!
That's code, fanboy. All right.
Sidecar got it punched for me.
Well, what's been happening? Because we last week, let's see, Steve got called out recently. Is it still the fires and the crashes that keep you from doing, what you love,
yeah.
Steve?
Well, it's Sunday, the afternoon traffic, the late afternoon traffic, and people are not paying attention. And then we got a pretty good fire going right now that was started because of a car crash in the mountains, and so that just leads one thing to another. So, but a couple weeks ago, it was someone wasn't. We have this hill that the trucks are really slow, and it's a 2-lane part of the freeway, and people get impatient, and they're trying to merge over to the left and not paying attention what's in front of them, and they just crash right into a back of a semi, and
jeez,
things don't turn out so well.
Ouch.
That's nutty. Al, thank you for the question. We'll be getting to that very soon. And if you have a question, you're here tonight as we are recording live. Just put a Q in front of your question, like Al did, and we'll pick that up. And we'll get to answering some questions in just a little bit. Let me tell you a little story and catch everybody up with my situation here in Southwest Florida, because as with all things with me, I get a little finicky, a little fickle, and change things and try to. Yeah, it's terrible. It's a terrible sometimes affliction.
You gotta be kidding me, man.
Change things up. I've changed directions in this particular studio twice. I was this way first, and then I turned around and faced that way, and then I turned around and faced this way again. all the cabling, run it back, do the thing. I'm like, if I could just trust my gut the first time, I always end up coming back to it. So let's talk about the DX Commander, of which I purchased. I did not get one through a promotion or any sort of thing like that. And I've met Callum, and I now, since I've built this antenna, I can see more. I understand verticals a little bit better now. He does have a lot of videos on his YouTube channel that kind of guide you through that. And I think I like his channel because it pretty much doesn't hide the fact that he loves ham radio, of course, but it's like a business, you know what I mean? It's his business, and he's talking about these antennas that he's building and how they work, and he explains them and he builds them. So there's plenty of information with regard to verticals, and I never really got it. As I mentioned earlier, I've been spoiled with space, you know. And so down here, I had been talking to Steve and exploring options. I've done the off-center fed dipole. It gave me 2 bands, 40 and 20, and it did fine. Did great, you know. But I was missing 17, and, you know, I like 17 meters. You know, I don't know much about 12, and I'm not even sure if I had a 10-meter contact in my thing, probably a couple. It also has a space for 30 meters, which I'll get to in a second, but you got 20, 40, I should say 40, 20, 17, 15 coming off the harmonic for 40, which is nice. And if 40's singing, 15 is following suit with that, so that's very cool. 12 and 10, that should equal about 5, and you have the spot for 30. So here I am hemming and hawing. And I put this thing up, right? He gives you all the details, and it has, if you can picture what we would call these spreaders, and they're basically, as you have a telescoping mast, the sections get smaller and you pull them tight, you know, and he's made these sort of splitters that will kind of go a third of the way down, you'd say. You know, you got one closer to the top, the middle, and toward the bottom. And you send your elements up there. And of course, many of them do not reach the top. 40 meters will, and it'll come back over the top and back down. He's come up with, or he found, or wherever he came up with this idea, his product uses this sort of elasticy, bungee sort of rope. And
cord.
Yeah, shock cord is what he would call it. And you grab the element from wherever it is, and you basically connect it to the nearest spreader, if you will. And that's how it works. Most of these are going vertically up. Some are different lengths, as you can imagine. And it sings, right? Well, I don't know anything about 30 meters. And it took me a little bit to tune it. I think he suggests cutting long and then tuning it, and it totally makes sense. What I did first, Steve and Scotty, is I just started tuning wherever the hell I started. Send a text off, a little bit frustrated, not you know, more with myself, like. And Steve, as he's done for I don't know how many effing years that I've known this man, has calmly written back and said, start with 40 and work back from there. In other words, tune from 40 and then go to 20 and then go to the, you see what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh, okay, right. So that made the difference. It affected the other ones when I tuned the 40. 20 needed a little love. Tune it. Keep moving. You got 17. You got so on and so on. And they all fell into place like little soldiers, or as some would say, fluffers on my favorite films. Damn it, I thought she was off this week. Shoot. So I knew I wasn't going to do 30, and I purchased this antenna to take 30 out, which gave me an opportunity to do 80 meters. Ooh. And with the amount of radials I have on the ground, 64 feet, 62 feet of an element would get me 80 meters. Oh, so the last time that we, you know, since we've been together, I have gone with it, without it, with it, tuned it, went to 40, and I got to 40, and I'm like, wait a minute, 40 wants to be 18 inches or more longer, right? Which is, I'm like, you know what, man? And I'm starting to get like, I'm starting to freak out because I've got an antenna that sings, And I'm being, I think, a little greedy. And I thought, I'm going to write to Callum and say, what do you think? His response was, it should work. Okay. So herein lies the problem. And I know I'm a little chatty here, but I want to catch us up. And then we can open this up a little bit. I put 80 on there. It affected the 40 and all the way on down. Not horribly, but they all want it to be longer. Now, I've put these elements on, heat shrink. I got them where they needed to be, you know what I mean? Where they were singing. I soldered these mugs because I wasn't trusting the heat shrink to hold with the tension. He suggests you tape it, tune it, tape it, put it up, test it. Once you get it, heat shrink it. Well, I did the heat shrink and I soldered it, right? So it would be strong as hell. I put the 80-meter element in, and it's like, I would like to be longer. I would like to be a longer 40-meter antenna. I'm like, you know, and I just opened this can of worms, and if I could just psychologically get past the fact that you could use a tuner and tune it all, everything would be totally fine. You'd have 80, 40, 20, and the rest, because they're all under 3 or whatever. But there's something in my mind knowing that when that 80-meter element is not in there, this antenna sings like an opera star. Rah! And when I put it in there, it's like, I'm all right. I'm okay. You know, it's the fat lady. The fat lady's going to sing now. And I'm like, I just can't. So that's where I am. I pulled the element out this week, and I'm like, you know what? I'll have to figure out another way to do 80 because this would make me nuts. I would spend so much time, and I could hear Steve in my mind, right? Just get on the air. Dr. Bob Heil. Just put the damn thing up. You know, like, here's how he used to talk to me. Just put the stupid thing up. You're thinking too much. So that's where we stand, you guys. I still have that slot for the 80-meter option. It was built for 30, but I took it out. And I even talked to Big Ben a little bit on the Discord, and he's like, to the point where he gets me to like, when's the last time you made a contact on 80 meters? And I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah. And he's like, I think you answered.
It's just to have it.
That's right.
It
There
doesn't
you
matter that
go.
you're making contact. You got to have it.
Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead and unpack that a little bit. I'll let you guys go ahead and wherever you are, but
Yeah,
that's where we are.
Unfortunately, we didn't start with the 80. The 80 kind of came in the middle of it, and it was like, oh, crud. And didn't really factor it in because, yeah, once you put that 80, it's going to affect everything else. It's all the interaction that goes on. And either you can go lengthen it and go through the whole monkey motions again, which you now know the process, or you got to come up with another 80-meter antenna somewhere else on the property if you can. You know, put it along the fence line, get it up in the trees, and bend it around the property. I don't know. Inverted L somewhere else from the front of the house or the back of the house. Yeah, that's your other options, or you're going to have to get out the soldering iron, cut that heat shrink, lengthen those elements, and then solder them up, heat shrink it up, and then go from there. So it's at this point, how much more work do you want to put into it? And like Big Ben says, when's the last time you were on 80?
Right. So you didn't give me any answers there. I lean on you, and he's like, you know, on one hand, you got a handful
Steve
of
told me to
doo-doo.
do this, and Steve said to do this.
I know. This is one of those things, and I just knew it. You're right. I wanted it. I just want it. And you know what? I put the 80-meter on there.
Poop in the other. See what fills up first.
Put it together and eat it. Right. Rub it on your face. I put that element up there, right? And it's not up there. Like it's not up very high. I'm thinking maybe 15 feet, right? It goes up the pole and off into like it's not quite an inverted L. It just goes up and kind of comes back down. It roughly tuned out about 62 feet. And I probably have 240 or 250 feet of radials on the ground. So it was tuning nice. I mean, it was usable from like 3,800 to 4 whatever to the end of the band.
Really? Oh, hell.
Yeah. Like it was great. But what happened was 40 was like, you know what? And I can't show this visually to our friends who are watching. But if you picture getting to the top of the mast, it has a little hole it passes through, and 40 comes back down the other side, and it doesn't quite make it to the spreader. You have about a 6-inch, maybe little bungee shock cord, right? If I left the 80-meter element, it wants to go back through and down longer. I'm talking, it wants to go through that spreader and starting to make its way back down that pole longer. And I'm thinking, oof, the SWR with the 80 meters in there, 80's fine, 40's fine. And I'm overthinking this. 20's okay. It's okay, but it has shifted. They just want to be longer now. And I'm like, why do you want to be longer? I just added 60, I don't know, 64 feet. Why do you want to be longer? You should be going, I need to be shorter.
The girl wants it longer.
And that's a pity. Anyway, I take it out, and she sings again, and all the way down is fine. And I'm like, damn it. And I'm thinking to myself, here's another predicament. I can only lean on my brothers for this and the occasional 1% sister. For me to get 80, I'm going to have to F with a tuner, right? I'm going to put up either a random wire or an end fed or something that's going to need a tuner. So why am I okay doing that, but I'm not okay doing that with a tuner on this one? You see what I mean? I'm like, I just can't. There's something that's keeping me from going, and screw it. Now you got it all.
Well,
just
here's another option. Can you put up 135 feet of wire and an end fed half wave?
Ooh.
Can you
up? I could put it up
Nope.
about 6 feet on a fence line. I can't. Here's another little dilemma. Let me give you all the elements here. Mama's
Around the fence.
very calm and cool with me. Like, I'm not pissing her off at all. Like, it's fine. But I'm trying to minimize any like coax drops in the center of the garden or the yard. So I'm kind of trying to figure things out on the outskirts. My antenna here, this vertical, is in the corner of the yard. And it's okay. I put stones around the base. It looks nice. To me, it's sexy. But to her, it's not a big deal. But if I had another drop of coax, it'll be right in the middle of the yard. And I'm thinking, like, I'm trying not to go there at this point. But I do have a few trees that give me options. I'm just trying to minimalize my minimal, whatever the damn word is, the impact on the landscape. I'm trying to keep my package tight.
Got to have a tight package.
So
Sure.
I am destined for an external tuner with whatever wire length I put up, 71 feet of a whatever, or 100 and something feet. I'm going to have to get it tuned up. And my signal will probably go straight up in the air and fall back down. I understand. But I'm okay with the tuner for that. But not for the DX Commander. Scotty, go ahead and take it, man. You see my demand. This is like a therapy session. You see how this all started. It was just a therapy session. Chime on in if you've got some thoughts. Everybody,
Yes,
drop them in the.
Definitely help.
I get the obsession over having it tuned right. With the DX Commander, and I have one that I take camping. I don't have it set up all the time. But yeah, you put a lot of time into getting those wire lengths just right, and then after trial and error many times, you got it dialed right in. It's like bam, spot on like all the bands that you work in, and then I'm gonna throw this 80-meter element up there and see what the hell it does, and it shifts everything, and then you could use the tuner to take care of all that and all the other bands, but there's something. I'm the same way. I'd be pulling my hair out trying to make sure that all the elements are resonant on their own without the need for a tuner, and then having done all that work to get it done. It's putting together DX Commander. It's kind of a pain in the ass. It's a cool antenna, and I love it when I take it out camping. I can't set it up here where I'm at, but it's a lot of work to put those things together. And once you get them dialed in and everything's just right, and you got your shot cord pulled just right, and it's a thing of beauty, and you don't want to go messing with that.
Yeah. That's where I am. I think it's like, man, this is it wasn't cheap. Wasn't a cheap antenna. And, I've used up a pretty good portion of the wire. Although everything's supplied, you get a redundancy. He's giving you plenty of extras. But I've cut several elements for it. I was like, I'm going to try again. Like I had a 40 that came in a strange way. I cut a new element for it. And like, okay, I'll keep this wire over here if I need to cut one for 20. I'm not sure. Good question for DX Commander type people who have tried this antenna. I wonder if I should put the 80 meter on first, tune it, and then move to 40. What I did, I put them all in. They were all in an arbitrary spot. They were all there and they were nested. And it's like, should I go one? I know one tuning at a time, 80, 40, 20.
No, you got to have all the wires there.
They got to all be there. Okay.
Be there and start with the lowest band. All the wires in, everything. Same thing with the band dipole. All the wires in, and then start with your longest, work your way up, and then go back. And you're gonna have to then touch up the first band or go through it 2 or 3 times. Well, but yeah, definitely want to start with the longest wire first. You follow them in.
Did you hear any of that, Steve? Is he a little garbled? Did he hit a weird pocket?
I thought it was my end.
You hit a weird pocket.
My audio?
Yeah, your audio it wouldn't push through all the way.
But basically, it was just get everything in, start with the longest wire, tune that, and then just work your way down, because all those elements interact with each other, and so that's where this is where the problem becomes, is that you started with 40, worked your all the way up to 10. And then at the end, we introduced 80, and then that just threw everything out of kilter. I mean, because you spent all that time, getting it dead nuts on without a tuner, and it's the principle of it. Yeah, you can use a tuner and kind of go from there, but it's the principle of you spent that time, and basically, now you have it dialed in. My attitude is don't F with success, and leave it alone.
I've heard that.
Move on with something else.
I've heard that many times. That man has told me that. Leave it alone. If I could go back into the history of our conversations and my tuning
Not playing with
fantasy or whatever I do, every one I have, I'll send him. Over the last, I don't know, what is it, Steve? 2014, 2015? I don't know how long we've known each other. A long time.
2015.
Since 2015, if I've ever tuned an antenna, I give him my numbers, and there's when he says, leave it alone. And I'm like, are you sure? By the time I even get sure, he's like, run for the fucking hills. Like, shut up. Get out. Get away from that. Get to your radio. Get away. Go do it. But yeah, don't mess with success. That's kind of his thing. So what I'm hearing is maybe over time, I have to get over this hump. Like, I actually tuned this antenna from 40 down in a great way. And when I got it, I was excited. I'm like, that's it. And I'd committed to the solder on those elements. Like, it was, don't touch it. It was a Steve thing. It was like, that's cool, dude. And I sent some, and then I even, what happened was I sent Steve some numbers, and he's like, that's cool. Like, that's good. And what happened was they were on tape. So what Callum's telling folks to do as you're tuning this, it's not tricky, but they can pull like this bungee that holds them taut, the elements. If you're just using electrical tape, as a placeholder, sometimes they can pull off. If you're too tight, it's going to pull through. And so what was happening was, I was like, all right, I'll fix this, because I didn't have a clamp method to like lock them down. I've seen that happen on other things, but what I was doing was, when I went back out to finalize the tuning, I had sent Steve some numbers, and it was looking pretty good. But when I finalized the commitment, I did the heat shrink or what have you, they got slightly better, because I must have moved it just a little bit here or there, 1/4 of an inch on one, and it just fell into place. I know this is a long way to talk about that, but my obsession was with, I just wanted 80 because I know I can have it. It's like the prom queen. You're like, I know in 10th grade, girl, you winked at me one time in the hallway and we had that moment. Now that we're in 12th grade, I think we can still have that moment. Now, I know you're over there with Swedish Swin, whatever his name is, and he's handsome as heck, but I know about that 10th grade thing. I just want it. So that's Big Ben's advice, though, was like, I was like, I can't even remember the last time I made a contact on 80. And yeah, I should also say, I put like a dipole. I did drop a coax down just to see if I could put up, because Steve made a video on our YouTube channel. I know I've been talking a lot, Jesus. And it's probably one of the most successful videos in 100 watts in a wire, and it's how to make a double bazooka. And we all went crazy. Everybody in the community started using Steve's thing because he walks you through the process of making a double bazoozu, and they sing like nothing. I mean, you talk about Pavarotti type stuff. And so I've got an 80
10
meter
one. I'm still hanging at my brother's.
That's what I'm talking about. Everybody tried it, and look for it on the 100 Watts in a Wire YouTube channel. Steve will take you right through the process, tell you everything you need. Beautifully done. Well, I got on a kick. He got on a kick. He made me a 160 double bazooka. Steve made me I think you did, didn't you? Yeah. I think.
Yeah, I sent it to you.
Yeah, I made an 80 meter, right? And I have the 80 meter, and I've got 240s, and I got all kinds of stuff, right? Here, and I put up this 80 in the middle of the yard, basically just to see, and I'm probably 7 or 8 feet too short in my backyard area to do that one. So that helped initiate. Well, you can still get it, and you were like, you could wrap it, drop it down. So corner to corner, I'm not quite what I need.
Zigzag, whatever.
I'm not as high as I was back in Missouri either, in terms of not gummies, but in terms of tree branches. I don't have that height here. But
if you can get it up 20, 25 feet, you'll be fine along the East Coast and everything, and into the Caribbeans.
I may try it again, because I think that there's part of a double bazooka where it goes from coax and it switches and converts down to like 14 gauge wire. And I think having it up so high in Missouri, 50 feet as opposed to say 25, I may not have to be as long lower to the ground, but maybe I'm crazy. But I'm thinking, maybe this antenna is just going to be long anyway because you had it up, and maybe that would change it. Is that
It'll probably change a little bit of the tuning with the ground effect, but I mean, it's no big deal. Just get it up, a press it knot on the wire, and dangle down 10 feet off the end.
Get it up and play with it.
It sounds very sexy when you guys are talking about it. When I talk about it, it's just frustration, sweaty, and I'm like, oh man, let's get it up and play with it.
It's sticky.
Oh, it's sticky and sweaty around here. Oh Lord.
Wow.
See what I'm dealing with? If you find value in 100 watts in a wire in any of this, I welcome you to visit 100wattsinawire.com. Get your 100 watt ID. You can find out how and where we are in the community. We're on the TikTok and the YouTube and the Facebook and the Discord and all the other places. And you're welcome to support the content you enjoy at buymeacoffee.com. Just type in 100 watts. Give if you like. $1 an episode. It all goes back into the production of the podcast. We appreciate you. This is the portion of the podcast where we talk about this week in radio history. Guys, we had another one, and I can't even believe September 11th has come around again. 23 years, and I remember it as clear as day, and could probably talk about that day at some point. But the terrorist attack on New York City silences 4 FM and 9 TV stations, 2001. And a big deal. I was on the radio in Philadelphia that night, and it felt like no one anywhere in the world or anywhere in that city, Jersey, no matter where you could hear that signal, everything was on TV. All eyes were on television. When I was working that night, you could feel it. September the 12th, 1958, Jack Kirby, we all remember him from Texas Instruments, and Robert Noyce, the Fairchild Semiconductor, unveiled the first integrated circuit back in 1958. On September 15th, 1921, Westinghouse's WBZ, Springfield, Massachusetts, receives its broadcast license. And in 2006, on September the 18th, 98 Rock, my alma mater, we still own the van that is connected to 98 Rock at WJZ. WIYY FM Baltimore becomes the 1,000th station to commence HD radio transmissions. And it begs the question, what happened to HD radios? Do they still do that? HD?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
It's still there. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's quite a few.
All right. Do we want to get into some events and contests, Scotty? It's a good time for you. Look at this. We can do it. I'll play your music for you. Isn't it? Oh. From Ellicott City, the former Washington Commanders fan. I can't even say it.
Got some contests coming up next weekend, September 21st through the 22nd. We have the ARRL's Earth Moon Earth contest happening. So get out your big directional antennas and you shoot the moon. Same weekend is also the 10 gigahertz and up contest for you folks that are into microwave stuff. And a bunch of state QSO parties next weekend. New Jersey, Texas, Iowa, and New Hampshire all having QSO parties next weekend, September 21st to 22nd. That weekend also is the Washington State Salmon Run. I'm not familiar with that one. Maybe Steve knows about the Salmon Run. And a couple of special event stations coming up next week. National POWMIA Recognition Day. N3TAL out of Atlanta, Maryland. American Legion Post 275 doing a special event station on the 20th. And also the weekend of 21st and 22nd, it's the Liberty Ship Remembrance, also in Baltimore. The SS John Brown Radio Club is sponsoring that special event. And there's more things listed on our events channel over on our Discord server. Back to you, Christian.
All right, thank you very much, baby. Kill that music. So James, just to say hello to a few people, James is here, Kilo India 5, Oscar Echo Bravo. He says use a sheet bend knot instead of heat shrink oversized knot. I'm not sure what a sheet bend knot is. Do you guys know?
Sheep shank bend, something like that.
Sheet bend.
I think that's what they use over at
The only
Browns.
sheets we bend is, we also stain a few, I'm told. Oh, not the brown trout. Well, James, you let us know what you're talking about, and we'll be happy to respond to that. Hello to Ricardo. Yes, cicadas are here, and you can hear that dipping into my audio. They are taking over, and it makes Scotty crazy, but he knows now what they are. It's when they don't know. The audio engineers are like, this is the worst song I've ever heard. I got to figure it out. I'm like, it's a cicadas.
I heard them creeping in. I was like, nope, it's just the bugs.
Yeah, I got a shaman in the backyard working on that damn DX
we don't have
command.
those guys here in the Northwest.
No, so it's peaceful. Maybe it's peaceful or really annoying. N3WER, hello and welcome, Ham Radio Elmer. We appreciate you for stopping by. Again, if anybody has questions, we'll be heading that way in just a few minutes here before we finish this program for you. Don is here. Knuckles, I hope you're feeling better. Or Mitts, not Knuckles. That's somebody different. Well, I don't know. Mitts, Knuckles, it's all the same. He is a 40-meter net control operator. Good to see you here. Of course, James is here, and some folks didn't want to miss anybody. Another James is here. Rob is here. November 8, Papa. Sierra, Papa. Mark is here from Maryland, holding it down with those crab cakes. Not the brown trout run.
Posting some beachfront views from strolling along the shore in his cart from his nice little spot down on the bay.
James has chimed back in. He said, out the hole, around the wires, and back under the stretchy cord. It just sounds dirty when you say it, James. I can't blame her for that. Yeah, post it on Discord, you guys. You're welcome to join us on Discord. It's pretty laid back. We get in there and talk about whatever moves us, so to speak. Literally. You guys ready to take a couple of questions? Got some questions we can do. All right, cool.
Let's do it.
All right. Question came in. How do special events call signs work? Do you still ID? So do you still ID with your call sign with the special event? Steve, you want to take it?
So if you're now this applies to the 1x1 special event call signs, unless but just the one you get a 1x1, A1 alpha, whatever call sign you're going to use. You use that throughout the call, but every 30 minutes you have to use your call sign. You just have to make a mention. This when I would do, like when we did the rodeo last year for the 100th anniversary for the Ellensburg Rodeo, I was running Whiskey 7 Romeo, and then this is Whiskey 7 Romeo W7UDI at the top of the hour, bottom of the hour, and then just looking for contacts and blah blah. You just kind of sneak it in there. Or you got to say your call sign every 30 minutes when you're using the 1x1 call sign. If you're using a club call for a special event, then it's just your normal IDing. But if you're using just the 1x1, 30 minutes.
All right, let me pass a message to the cicadas real quick. Shh.
No, it should be, shut up!
They're gone. Okay. I can only,
Oh, now they're back.
I want to use a little bit of radio trickery. Damn it.
Bastards.
Okay. Well, thank you for that question. We appreciate that. We hope that helps. And that can be a little confusing. And if that keeps you from doing it, don't let it keep you doing it anymore. I think
don't let it keep you from doing it. It's pretty straightforward and simple.
Get on the air and do that thing. Do that thing, so to speak. Another question coming in. And we got a question here that I'll get to next. Somebody in the chat, Al, I believe, had a question. Question here. I love scammerless.
I think you meant to type.
Hi, friend. I've got a mountain for sale.
Autocorrect.
I can give you 2 gallons of milk if you would just give me the PIN number.
I'm calling from Amazon, and this is about your recent order.
I would like to do a survey with you, and you'll get a free roll of bologna. I love scammer listening. Well, so do we. I'm going to just say that that's meant to be scanner listening.
Scanner.
Can I work around digital trunking? Maybe we should explain what digital trunking is and what that means for scanners.
Well, trunking for one is whether it's analog or digital. There's typically a control channel where all the users go and migrate, and they wait for a command to say, and whatever talk group you're on. So it's equivalent to a channel. So we're on the big ham radio trunk system, and now the 3 of us are in the 100 watts in a wire talk group. And so when one of us keys up on our radio, we send hey, we request a channel, and the system says, okay, you're going to go to this particular channel at this site, and then everybody moves over there. So the other 2 of us, our radios automatically move over. To whether it's analog or digital, same concept in a nutshell. When it comes down to scanning, you just can't have your standard Bearcat 210, which was around eons ago, or your conventional scanners. You have to have a digital, yes, and digital is dirty. And you have to have a scanner that will listen on the control channel, and then you have to program a hex code into it that represents the talk group. And it's a little more involved, but there's some websites out there that will walk you through it and get it set up. But first you need a trunking compatible scanner, and then you're going to have a scanner that will do, say, P25 or DMR. As long as the P25 is not encoded, encrypted basically, then you'll hear the traffic. So it starts with the scanner. If you have an old analog scanner, you're just going to hear noise, unfortunately.
Now, person
It's
who
got to be
knows.
able to follow the monitoring the control channel. When it assigns some users to a talk group, the scanner needs to, based off the
Yeah,
info
it
he's
has
putting
to.
there, it has to be able to follow that. And
Mhm.
one conversation might not even happen on the same frequency all the time. So any open channel is going to get grabbed by somebody else calling in, and the other talk group might get moved over to a different frequency, and you got to be able to follow that stuff around. It's pretty cool.
So, Scotty,
Yeah.
you're familiar with scanner listening for sure and putting people and things in trunks. What do you think about? Do you have to buy a new scanner to listen to these digitals?
Well, you can get. I have two scanners here. They're one's a digital scanner, an older Radio Shack that does P25 version 1. Actually, here's my old analog scanner right there. And then, but a lot of the agencies are moving to what's called P25 2, and it's a little
Phase
bit of a
two.
different phase 2 little setup. And so my old Radio Shack digital scanner will do phase 1, but won't follow phase 2. So I had to buy a new scanner to get my local emergency services and stuff, so I could listen in. So I have two digital scanners, a phase 1 and a phase 2 for a P25. And my new one also does DMR and stuff, decoding. And so there's nothing going on to listen to here, but it'll do that stuff too. But yeah, I kind of had to have a digital scanner to follow the trunk conversations around.
And they're a little bit pricey, aren't they?
Yeah, a couple $100.
Yeah. Okay. That's not as bad as I think they used to be. I'd seen them for more than that. But maybe it's been a while. I think I was put off by it because I love scanner listening ever since I was a little boy. Just maybe a nosy little kid. But back in St. Louis, when they had the issues with the Michael Brown case in the streets of St. Louis, they cut over. They seemed to cut right over to a digital because all the communication was being heard. People were blocking the highways, the exits to get off. They were, it was a mess. And so you couldn't listen. It seemed like they cut it over. If they had it in the plan, next thing you know, gone. You're not listening to it anymore. And I think it was like, I don't know, at the time, $300 or $400 for a digital scanner. And I was like, I don't know. But if they've come down, that's good.
I think the new ones are in the 5 range, but don't quote me. I don't follow the scanning world.
Yeah. I hope that helps you. Go ahead, Scotty.
I was going to say, you're looking at probably $400 for a decent sort of entry level digital scanner that'll do the stuff that you'd want to do if you're getting into scanning.
So no, your analog won't work anyway to get into digital trunking. So hope that helps.
You need a codec to decode it.
All right. Thanks for the question. We appreciate you. There was a question, Scotty. Did you happen to pull? You did pull it. You're the man. Thank you so much, because that one has floated down.
Attention.
That one has floated down stream. Down screen works too. Al says, I've had an off-center fed dipole up for 3 years. What difference would I notice if I reverse the short and long end? It's going east, the long side. West is the short end from Louisiana. You want to...
As far as the pattern goes, the antenna pattern, it's not going to change. The only thing that's going to change is the physical location of where the coax drops down. So whether it becomes more convenient to get it into your shack or your wherever your operating position is, that's the only thing that's going to change. But other than that, the pattern itself will not change.
Okay. There you go. Hope that helps. If you have a follow-up, Al, that's all good. Let's see. James, Kilo India 5, Oscar Echo Bravo. He asked, did you make a sloper or inverted L? So I guess you would technically call this on the DX Commander with the 80-meter element. It went up the pole about halfway. I'm guessing about 15 feet. This is about a 9.5 meter pole, which is about 29 feet. A little more. I'm just going to say 30. And about halfway up is about 15. So that makes sense. And then it kind of comes down like... Yeah, I'm mathing it out for you here, man. I hope you're following along with me. I'm getting it.
Cool.
And 15 is a good
calculator out.
It's a good guy spot. You know what I mean? Like you taught me this years ago, like guying a mast or something like that about halfway is a good thing. So I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to run that element up past 40 because I mentioned earlier that it goes over top of the mast and back down to the first spreader. This is going to sound sexy, so follow along. But this spreader is smaller because it's smaller at the top of this mast, and I didn't want it to really interfere with 40. You could technically get it up through there, higher, closer to the top of the mast, but I went sort of midway and then pulled the end back down, kind of like an inverted V, if you will. So it's not slopey and saggy. I have some tension on it, but not like a guitar string. And it's out of the way. That's what I like about it. And you know, if I'm being honest with myself, I would say there's going to come a day where I'll probably buy some more wire and try to tune this. It's like when I have a weekend and it cools off, I'm going to F with this antenna again, and I'm going to introduce 80, and I'm going to be like, be friends. You just be nice to all the others and stop being a D-bag. But as the antenna for 40 comes back, the element comes back down, I'm like, do I want to go all the way back through? You know, like how long do I want to? And it probably doesn't matter. It probably just doesn't matter. I'll probably tackle it again because it's there and it will work. And if I just get over the tuner aspect of it, you know what I'm saying, is that, okay, if you want 80 meters, you're going to have to put up a weird wire and then tune it. Because it's 100 and some feet of random wire. Or maybe if it bothers you to not be quite, you know, in tuned perfectly with the others, you just touch it up. Everything with the 80 was under 3, which the 7610 can handle. It's just the principle. You guys said it. It's the principle. Thank you for those questions. Scotty, we do need to talk about, you got some other stuff going on, and did we miss it? The hamfest. Let's talk about the hamfest.
Yeah, I got a. Well, I tried to mention some of the hamfests that are coming up in our community here. Next weekend on the 20th, it's the HRO Superfest in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Superfest. They do one of those. The closest ham radio outlet to me is in Virginia.
Superfest.
I'd go to an HRO. Sounds cool. So that's going to be next weekend. Also on the 21st, St. Croix Valley Amateur Radio Club in Alexander, Maine is hosting their hamfest. And Gadsden Hamfest is happening in Gadsden, Alabama. And I have some more hamfests that I've pulled from the interwebs listed on our events channel on the Discord server.
Well, thank you very much, Scotty. Superfest. Okay. Big Ben brings up an interesting point talking about owls. Now, this isn't his question, but if we allocated owls off center-fed dipole in a different position, facing a different, say, west or east or north or west, you know, south. Now, the physics, I guess, of an antenna would say if it's an inverted V, this is an omnidirectional antenna.
Yes.
Anyway, but I do believe that, you know, if you are allocating your ends in a certain different direction, you may get more, I don't know. Do you get a benefit off to the sides of a certain, does it play opposite of a omnidirectional dipole? Am I saying that right? Do you get any gain in a certain direction if you rotate where you go?
It depends on where you know, if it's in the horizontal, flat top as people like to call it, then yes, because it's just an off-center fed dipole is going to radiate like any other dipole. The difference why the offset is just the feed point impedance. That's why you have the 4-to-1 balun. And that also gives you the option to have multiple bands. So, but it still operates as at the primary frequency, which what it's cut for, is still going to operate like a dipole. When you start going to higher frequencies, then you're going to have these lobes coming off at about a 45-degree angle, kind of going northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, depending on, if you had your antenna east and west. It just, and by physically rotating that will change those lobes to go wherever you want it, you want it. But it's still same thing's gonna happen with the the main lobe or the primary frequency, which is what the antenna is primarily cut for, whether it's 80 meters or 40 meters. It's just, think of that major lobe is going to go perpendicular to the wires. And but by swapping them around back and forth, the low, the short is over here on my right and the long's on my left. If you swap those around, that's not going to change the pattern. It's if you just flip them. The only way you're going to change the pattern is to physically change it. So it's like the wire's going to go northeast, southwest, or northwest, southeast. That will change the pattern. So it just all depends on your location, what you have to work with, and then go from there. And if you can kind of maneuver it around and where you want to work. If you want to start, hey, I really want to concentrate on working some DX. Then you're going to, you want your main lobe to be kind of towards Europe and stuff like that if you want to maximize that. If you just want to work the States here or up and down the East Coast or West Coast or if you're in the center of the country, you want to work both coasts, then you set your wires north-south and bada bang, bada boom, you're, east to west. So it just all depends where you're at and what your location will dictate the most. What kind of real estate you have to deal with.
Survey says,
Ding.
point your lobe where you want your lobe to go.
Hanging low.
Put your lobe and hang it low. Hang 'em high.
One lobe low, hanging in the snow.
In the snow.
It's dragging in the snow.
If you have a question and you're here live with us, put it in the chat. Put a Q in front of it, and we'll try to help you out. Another question, interactive mapping software, like a map of contacts made. I saw Don Mitz, a.k.a. Knuckles, depends, he used to handle business and make collections in Minnesota, but he's retired now. But Mitz, because he's got those big hands, but will punch you with his knuckles is how it goes. From time to time in the Discord, he will show us a map of where his contacts were made. Do you guys know anything about that?
I think PSK Reporter is one. I think there's another one. This one, the one I use is PSK Reporter, and you can put in your call sign, and the band that you're working, and then have the map. Basically, it takes this data from a bunch of different stations. That if you're using radio and you're using logging software or FT8, a lot of the times. It'll the stations that you're receiving, you can set it up to report to PSK Reporter, and it will, or Whisper is something I think through FT8. But at least it allows stations to send data from signals that they've received at their stations. It just kind of sends over the internet, just kind of logs this information, so that you can go to the website and put in your call sign and information and the time that you were on the air, and it'll show you on the map all these stations that heard your signal. And it'll have the little flags with the like Don posts on sometimes on the Discord, and it's a really great tool. And I use it from time to time to see how my crappy gummy sticks are getting out, and I got some propagation going this direction. Maybe I'll try to work a few stations. That's the one I've used. I'm sure there's others, but I'm not sure what they are.
It's pretty much limited to data, like FT8, and then I think there's a CW version of it there's like a CW skimmer that will skim the CW and take the calls and then like the FT8, but predominantly the FT8, the PSK Reporter is the predominant one. And it's just, if I had it set up, right behind me, I got FT8 going on 10 meters, so you could see all the activity that's going on there, and that's just on 10 meters. So if I had PSK Reporter set up, I could be outflowing that data into the server there, and then whoever looking at where their signal is propagating to, it's like, oh hey, we're making it up into the Pacific Northwest and stuff like that. So It's a great tool. I don't personally use it, but I've seen it, and I think it's an awesome tool.
There you go. I hope that helps. Check our Discord channel out and ask some questions. You'll see it there from time to time. I know folks go out and do their POTA activations, and they'll show you, you know, the contacts they made, or maybe it's a map of stations that we're hearing them.
I think another one is now that it comes to me, I think it's called QSOmaps.com. QSOmaps.com. I want to say that's one of them as well.
Okay. We have time for one more, guys. You all right? We got a couple lined
bring it
up
on.
here.
Yeah.
Let's do this one because I think this is always an interesting one. Question: Shy guy, any tips for shaking nerves on the air?
Bourbon.
Beer.
Oh, sorry.
You just got to get in there. I mean, don't worry about it. You can't say anything wrong. And if someone gets their panties all wadded up over because whatever you said or how you said it, don't worry about it. It's just make sure you identify your station and get out there. It's just like having a conversation, like your friends, and just, you know, be yourself, and don't worry about it. And you just got to do it more and more, and then the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get, and pretty soon you'll be like me, and you can talk to a rock. That's what my wife. Oh, weed's another one there. Weed and gummies.
Those are suggestions coming from the chat. You can see how playful and fun it can be if you join us on Sunday nights on YouTube, baby. Gummies.
So yeah, just be yourself. It doesn't matter. And just the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get, and you'll just be like the rest of us, and just can't shut up.
Yeah, I found when I first got on ATEP that to help kind of break my mic shyness was instead of trying to engaging in like a conversation, like just kind of like chase some POTA stations or something like that, and you can just make the contact. It's not a long exchange. You don't have to feel like you have to force this small talk sort of thing. You're kind of in and out, and it's a nice way to kind of get more comfortable on the mic.
That's how you had a lot of your lovemaking sessions at the Browns. Just kind of.
Well, that's how we do it.
That's how Mark told you how to do it. You don't have to give a name or any of that. You just give a signal report. No, but on a serious tip, though, you just, I think nets are always a good one, but nets can tend to get chatty sometimes.
Formal. Yeah, or they get formal.
They do get formal. Ours isn't as much.
We're just knuckleheads. That's all we are.
Yeah, nothing formal about our nets at all.
Nothing formal. It's like, hey, what's going on? How you doing? And then, Steve talks to somebody for about 25 minutes, and then if you're still there, great. But it's fun. But usually he's helping somebody. The common, from what I know, is that Steve will ask about the antenna, and I think what's your operating situation, what kind of thing you're running there, and get some information. And it's a good icebreaker because everybody's using a radio, everybody's using an antenna. And the one thing about talking to our team is nobody's looking at you as if you're just doing this. I mean, after all, I've heard Steve say, I've got a random wire 5 feet on a thing. Remember the night we heard the guy on the net who had a cattle fence loaded up, and he was like, he was a southern boy from like Georgia. Yeah, I got a cattle fence loaded up. And I mean, he sounded like this. I was
cattle
like,
fence.
What? It's 4 feet high and about a mile long. I was like, whoa.
1,500 watts into it.
Wow.
Oh, it was awesome.
You remember that?
Awesome. Oh, yeah. And then there was a guy from Kansas City that he hooked up to his aluminum rain gutters around his house. And he just took the coax, and the center conductor went to the downspout. And he drove a ground rod and hooked up the shield to that. And he was on 20 meters. This was years ago. It just blew me away. So
Excellent.
anything and everything.
Just try it. I got to teach myself this. Just try it. Try to get it up there and see what happens. But in terms of shyness and mic shyness, I totally get it. Maybe check into our net, which starts after our program, 8 o'clock Eastern time, usually on 20 and 40 meters. It's a friendly group. Talk as much as you like. Don't talk if you don't like that too much. Yeah, it's. I do like Scotty's idea about working special event stations or contests because, you're just making sure you get in, you make that exchange, and it kind of, you build that up. It goes into your, your being. And next thing you know, you're like, okay, cool. Yeah. Speaking of, have you guys been doing any Route 66 stuff? I've been doing it in passing, a little bit at a time. Have you worked it?
I haven't worked any. I wanted to get out last night, but I got tied up doing other stuff. And is this the last weekend, or are they going to go one more week?
I hope to go more. I don't know.
I think today was the end of it, I think.
Damn, I got 12, a baker's dozen. I think there's 23 to get, so there's no way in heck. But, it's fun to chase them, but that is a good way to kind of get over
those are excellent to try to get in there and work the special events. But you could get a little discouraged, and please don't. It is just, you got to get in there. You just throw your call sign out, and you get through the pile up, and then eventually they'll come back to you, and then you just give a signal report. Just kind of figure out what they're doing, and some will want a name and where your location is, and the signal report, and that's it. It's pretty. You're in, you're out, just like when you're down at the Browns. That's in right. And out. So,
that's it.
True, you're in and out, but you are at the clinic getting a tetanus shot in your pee-pee because it burns.
5'9",
you're 5'9", Sherry. Damn, I'm coming back Tuesday. You're 5'9". Well, I hope that helps. Yeah, check your POTA, check your special events. These are people who are operating at a good pace, but it's not a contest pace. So you're kind of doing all that together. Now, we mentioned a little bit about our net. Oh, look at that. I've got a frozen screen. That's a bummer. There, won't show you that, but you're almost
rock solid reception you got
you're
there.
10 over, baby. Looking good. Looking good.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, damn. You try to do something. I don't know why. The camera must have just froze up. It's still moving, but I think Mitts and Knuckles is 7190. If you're here hanging with us and you want to check your antenna, check that radio, and that's how you can do it. After we do the live show, we hit the air, and that's what we're doing this evening. So there you go. We've got it. Where's the music? There we go. Holy moly. I think we fooled them again, guys. So what I've learned is... Well, damn, I don't know. I think what I'll end up doing is trying to get the 80 meter on this DX Commander. I'll retune, recut elements, see what I can do, because it's there to be done.
I'm frozen, too.
Oh, look at that. Oh, nothing weird about that frozen face. Nothing
Are you still
to
hearing
see
the
here.
audio from me?
Yeah, I still got... It looks
the audio.
very sexy.
Oh, we can Photoshop that one.
Don't get off axis.
Oh, man.
No. You got to suck it. You got to be right here.
Yeah,
Everybody screen cap.
Please go back. Please go back. Somebody take a screenshot of this guy. Oh, damn. You go back and watch it. You go back and watch it. You'll see what Scotty would look like if he were.
Don't get off don't get off axis. Oh no, you gotta suck it. You gotta
suck
be
it
right here.
You gotta be right here. Yes, sir. Yes, Dr. Bob. May you rest in peace. Rest in power, Dr. Bob. All right, brothers and sisters, take care now. Good luck the rest of the way. And by all means, if you can, please try and stay above the noise. 73 Steve.
7-3 Christian. 7-3 Scotty.
73 Scotty. You look kind of handsome there with that microphone so close to you now. Shoot. Oh, my.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Good luck now. We'll catch up with you soon. Go and work mitts and knuckles over there on 40 meters, and we appreciate you. 7-3 all.
7-3.